Hello, B1 family, and welcome back to the YouTube channel, The Big Black American Secret. My name is Daniel Jackson, and today I want to show you a video I found. I didn't find. There's a person that I follow who is an Aboriginal American. She's indigenous, and her YouTube channel is called The American Heiress. And she has uncovered something that is absolutely phenomenal. I'm gonna read the goal of this channel, and then I'm gonna show you. It's a short video. I think it's about 5 minutes long, but what she uncovered is absolutely awesome. In fact, she has a petition that she wants people to sign, and I've already signed it, and I'm gonna urge you to sign it as well. Um, it's a petition to force Ancestry, and that's Ancestry.com, to tell the truth. Now let me read the goal of this channel before I get into that. But the goal of this channel is to build an unstoppable army of knowledgeable black melanated people around the world and in America that understand that we as melanated people have one enemy worldwide, and that enemy is the system of racism, white supremacy. Our mission through education is to replace this evil system with a system of freedom, justice, and equality, as laid out by Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. We will need your help in building this knowledgeable army. You can help by subscribing to this channel, by donating to this cause through Cash App or PayPal, and by sharing the videos and knowledge that is found here. In doing so, together, we help fertilize the mentally enslaved, colonized minds of black melanated people worldwide, creating the perfect mental conditions for our children to grow up in a better, more balanced world. That being said, and the name of this channel is called The Big Black American Secret. And the secret is you are an Aboriginal American. So the videos I show you, there'll be little bits and hints and pieces in each one, to show you that you are an Aboriginal American. Now, why is that important? Well, it's important because we've been hammered through education, religion, television, movies, that all black people came out of Africa. You've all heard of the out of Africa theory. You saw the movie The movie Roots by Alex Haley. And also, did you know that Alex Haley was successfully sued for plagiarism? He plagiarized a book called The African by a white author. The lawsuit was settled out of court for $500,000. Okay, so what does that mean? That means more than likely Alex Haley never found any proof that his family came from Africa. It's a good chance most of his people probably came from the Caribbean islands. And if you do your genealogy, you'll find that your people came from right here, the dirt of America. But the reason they want us to all think we came from Africa is because it gives Europeans ownership of not only America, so they can call themselves Americans. It also gives them the ability to steal, again, not only our identity, but our land, labor, and resources. Also in Europe, they can claim the European continent for themselves. When that whole continent, those islands in Europe, were all melanated people, just like here in America and just like Africa. See, that's the whole thing what's been going on. Identity theft. Okay? And it's my goal. I will not die. I will not leave this planet until everybody understands that the out of Africa theory is just that. It's a falsehood. It's a theory given to us with the sole purpose of tricking us into giving up, handing over our birthrights, which is our land. Okay? Now, I'm going to turn this around. And again, please follow this young lady. Her YouTube channel is called The American Heiress. Okay? She also decodes movies. It's amazing that what you learn when you watch different people. Okay? So let's just get it started here.
Have you ever heard that you had Indian in your family? Did you take an Ancestry.com DNA test and were told that you have little to no Native American DNA? Well, We at the Coalition of Indigenous Americans have noticed something very interesting about the categories of the DNA test results. For one, the DNA they are considering Native American actually comes from these lands. But most of us Black Americans never said that we were from Mexico. Our ancestors said that we were from these lands. Now here is a map from Ancestry.com for Indigenous America's North. Note the lack of subsections. Now that seems strange. You would think that this map would be filled with all of the different ethnic groups of this land. But Ancestry.com has chosen to leave this area blank, leaving us to think that there isn't any additional information for these areas. Now, so-called Black Americans, listen very closely. This is where your DNA comes in. Now, if you look at your test results, under the ethnicity estimates, there is a section called Additional Communities. Pay close attention to them. We looked up a full list of all of the communities Ancestry.com has listed and found communities for this area. Only they are listed under the misclassification of African American. Now, we say misclassification because these communities are actually well-known American Indian communities. Well-known American Indian communities like the Little PD and PD River community. A quick Google search asking who are the people of the PD River, and Google will tell you they are American Indians. Well-known Indian communities like the Pearl River, Mississippi community. A quick Google search asking who are the people of the Pearl River, Mississippi, and it will tell you that they are American Indian. Well-known American Indian communities like Natchitoches, Louisiana. One quick Google search asking who are the people of Natchitoches, Louisiana, and it will tell you they are American Indians. Well-known American Indian communities like North Carolina Blue Ridge Mountains. One quick Google search asking who are the people of the North Carolina Blue Ridge Mountains, and they will tell you American Indian. Well-known American Indian communities like the Virginia Tidewater. In fact, according to the Indian Notes and Monographs, a series of publications relating to the American Aborigines by Frank G. Speck, page 49 states, "On every hand, we are told by those who remember the stirring times of Reconstruction that the numerous Indian descendants all over the Tidewater section of Virginia were induced by the carpetbaggers to assign themselves to the status of colored people." Now, that is the reason why the Virginia Tidewater, the only community for Virginia Tidewater, says African American. After Reconstruction, we were induced by the carpetbaggers to assign ourselves to the status of colored people. Colored people, African American, those are statuses. Not to mention, there is not one community for these lands that are classified so-called Native American, leading us to question, what is the true identity of the American Negro? Why are we the only ones with communities on this Indigenous American North map? Where are the Native American communities? Could so-called Black Americans be the indigenous people of North America? Well, according to the Oxford English Dictionary, the definition for the word nigger states a nigger is a dark-skinned person of any origin in early U.S. history used usually in reference to American Indians. So, ask yourself, were your ancestors considered niggas in the past? Not to mention that, did you know that cornbread, grits, barbecue, and gumbo are all foods that the Indigenous Americans created and used to eat? All of these foods are distinctly American Negro foods. Could we have been miseducated about our identity? If you're an American who was told you had Indian in your family and want to know the truth, please sign the petition at change.org/AmericaIsOurHome to demand that Ancestry.com correct our results and tell the truth about our identity to the world. Thank you so much for listening and supporting. For more information, please contact us at thecoalition.info@protonmail.com. Feel free to share this with your family, friends, and on social media. Together, we can overcome anything. Thank you, guys.
Okay. And you could also pause this video and write down that email and then just rewind it and watch it a few times. And I thought that was absolutely amazing. You know what I'm saying? It, especially a few things she mentioned. The carpetbaggers. The carpetbaggers were people who traveled from the northern states to the southern states during Reconstruction. And they talked black folks into calling themselves colored people so they could now vote for the Republican Party. Now, during that time, the Republican Party was primarily black people. And I know it sounds crazy because now the Republican Party is white people. But back then, it was black people. Now, the reason that was, and most of you don't know this, but there were quite a few black landowners and even slave owners. And some of these people were actually European blacks. And I covered that on a few other my videos. But the Republican Party were people who had slaves and wanted to maintain slavery. Believe it or not, these were people who looked like you and I, black people, who wanted to maintain slavery for the money. Now, don't get me wrong. All skin folks ain't kin folks. These people were black Europeans. They weren't native blacks, So they didn't see themselves as black. In fact, they saw themselves as white. There was a guy. I'm gonna see if I could pull this up. But anyway, here in America during that time, you had Europeans, both white and black, working together. Here in the colonies, and a lot of times they were working on the same farms that the black people were on, the native blacks. After Bacon's Rebellion, after they killed a few white people, the white people in Europe said, hey, we got to separate these people. We have to celebrate the black and white Europeans from the black natives here. How are we going to do this? They elevated these people to the level of white. They elevated them to the level of white in title only. Now, white was a tax status, so to speak. It was just a title that rich white people held, or people with influence in Europe held that title of white. And these people looked like you and me. They was black folks. But it wasn't about skin color. It was, again, about an influential status. So now they were raised to the level of white people, both the black Europeans and white Europeans. I'm going to see if I can't prove that for you. Let me do a Google search real quick. Yeah, it was this guy who was a fur trader, and Bunga. I think his name was George. Yeah, George Bunga. George Bunga. I want to say George Bunga. I hope I'm right about this because it's on another one of my videos. Let's see. I'm gonna put in fur trader. George Bunga. I want to say his name was Bunga. I'm gonna put Bungo. Black fur trader. Yeah, it was George Bunga. And I'm gonna see if I could pull up a little short paragraph about him. Because it's very interesting. Very interesting. Canadian Encyclopedia. Let's see what comes up. Black fur trader in Canada. Okay. Fur trader. And what's important about us sharing this kind of information is when we start to build steam, and this truth gets out more and more, what you're going to find is, and I want y'all to save these videos if you can on your computer. I don't know, maybe buy a hard drive. I mean, a little zip drive like this and save it. Because what they'll start to do is they'll start to take stuff away from the information that's out there, or change the wordings. You know what I'm saying? I want to kind of scan this real quick to see if that phrase is in there. Because what he said was real important. And one of the reasons that made me say about saving it on a zip drive is because usually when I pull up this person's name, a Wikipedia definition about him would come up, but that hasn't showed up. So I know that these people up to their trickery. But you know, we got something for them. You know what I'm saying? Just give me a second. I apologize. I wasn't thinking about showing you this particular person, but I spoke about the white and black situation with the Europeans here in America. In fact, this guy's name is on a few different treaties, because he was a translator in the fur trade here in America. All right, so I'm gonna go back real quick and yeah. I'm gonna see if I can find that Wikipedia definition. I might have to stroll down a little bit, but again, it was very telling. I mean, it was like a light bulb went off in my head. You know. Okay, it's right here. Okay, so now I'm gonna show you a picture of this fella. This is him, George Bunga, and he's darker than me, right? Okay, and this is Wikipedia. Y'all can look him up. His name is George Bunga, right? He's darker than me. Now listen to what this is. I'm gonna read a little about him. George Bunga was a black Indian fur trader, one of the first people of African descent. Dodge that African descent hijacking. I'm gonna show you why in a minute. Born in the part of Northwestern Territory that later became the state of Minnesota. He was the second son born to an African American father, Pierre Bunga. Okay, this fellow's name's Pierre Bunga. Pierre is a French name. This man was not African American. He was French. Very important. He was a black European. Now let me keep going. He was born of a Dodge the Hijack African American father, Pierre Bunga, and an I always say this name wrong, but it's I'm gonna pronounce it Ojui. The B is gonna be silent. Ojui mother, and her name was Agabwa Bunga. George was schooled in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, French, becoming fluent in French as well as Owaji and English. So he spoke three languages: French, English, and Owaji. He later became a fur trader and interpreter. He was noted in what is now Minnesota for being, as his brother Stephen claimed, one of the first two children born in the state. Stephen also described himself as the first white children born there. This black man said that he was one of the first white children born there. Europeans were considered white, whether they was black or white. You see what I'm saying? As Oweji as the OEG classified everyone who was non-native as white. See how they throw that in there? That was, well, I guess you could look at it like that. If you're non-native, if you're not an Indian, then you were considered white, because at that time there were only black people and Europeans. There were native blacks and Europeans. So if you weren't a native person to the United States, then you were European, you were considered white. So that's actually valid. Okay. In 1837, George Bunga tracked down a suspected murderer. I didn't want to. Is that the part I want to read? Oh, no. I'm gonna skip over that and read this part right here. Okay. Bunga followed in his father's footsteps and became a fur trader with the American Fur Company. In this role, Bunga drew the attention of Lewis Cass, who hired him as a guide and as a translator for the government's negotiations with the Owaji. Bunga's signature is on treaties in 1820 and 1867. So he was an important person. His name is on some treaties. That's up there. You know what I'm saying? And that's why he's in Wikipedia. A lot of times they hide these people because, but when a person is kind of got some notoriety and there's a picture of him, they can't hide that. I mean, I'm gonna show you his picture again. This guy was darker than me. You feel what I'm saying? Okay, it says Bunga had gained an education among both European and Owaji societies. Again, he was not African American. I mean, he was not from Africa. This dude was from France. His father was French, Pierre, right? And frequently crossed their borders. Comfortable in white and Owaji society, Bunga identified with both. Reportedly, Bunga called himself one of the first two white men in northern Minnesota. He was speaking of his participation in white culture. White culture. You see that? Again, after Bacon's Rebellion, Europeans, both black and white, were elevated to the level of white. This is unheard of because they keep this kind of information from us because they want you to think that every black person was an African slave. That's why every time you see anything dealing with black people, it's African American if you're American. You see what I'm saying? And that is the misconception. That's the lie. That is what keeps us from our identity, our birthright, land, labor, and resources. We have to correct this understanding in our own selves. We can't wait for white people to say, oh yeah, we're sorry, black people, we lied. They ain't gonna never do that. They got too much to lose. And it's not up to them telling us what we want them to hear, what we want to hear from them. No, it's up to us to know the truth. And then we move accordingly. Please understand this. Please understand this. You know what I'm saying? So this dude was blacker than you and me, but he considered himself white. So did Abraham Lincoln. So did William Ellison. So did most of these black slave owners and landowners. They were white Europeans. Okay? Very important that we all understand this. Okay? And again, I just wanted y'all to see that because it is absolutely amazing. Now, if you're new to this channel and you have not already, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and hit all so that you're notified when I go live or send out another video. Very important that you stay connected. It's very important that you talk to your oldest living relatives, all of them. Don't just talk to one or two of them. Even if you haven't talked to them in years, it's time now to reconnect. I mean, do like I did. I called my oldest living uncles and aunties, and I say, hey, uncle, I know I haven't talked to you in years, and I apologize, but I'm calling you because I just want to know about our family lineage. I want to know about our family's history. You know what I'm saying? And my mom's dead, and my grandparents are dead. Your mom and father gone. So I want to reach out to you and talk to you. And my uncle, both my uncles said, yeah, nephew, I understand that. What do you want to know? And I just started asking questions about where they grow up, stuff like this, and eased into it, and then I finally came around to the question of, because you want them to be comfortable talking to you, so they can tell you their story. And then I finally asked, do you know of any Indian heritage in our family? One uncle, who was the youngest uncle at the time, he said, no, nephew, I haven't heard anything about Indian heritage personally, you know. And I said, okay, thank you, Unc. And he told me quite a bit. He had some trade schooling that and this uncle, he just recently passed about a year ago. I spent a lot of time with this uncle. We used to fish, you know, hung out with his sons who were my cousins when we were young, and just had a ball. So he was one of my favorite uncles. But he was very proud to tell me certain things, that he had some trade schooling. He also purchased, I think, his mother and father's first refrigerator and telephone that they had. And I could tell he was real proud of himself for that when he told me. You know what I'm saying? But then I talked to another auntie who was about a couple of years older than him, and she says, no, nephew, I don't personally know of any Indian heritage in the family. She says, but my older sister talks about it quite a bit. You should call her. And this auntie lives in another state. Well, they all live in different states from me now. We all grew up in Illinois. Well, us, the aunties and uncles. Some of them live in Illinois, some of them live in California, and different places. But anyway, so I finally talked to the oldest uncle still living, and he said, you know, I got around to the question. He said, yeah, nephew, we have Indian in our family. We also have Irish and German relatives as well. He said, your grandfather's Blackfoot Indian and your grandmother's Sioux Indian. And it's like, I was like, this is wild, you know what I'm saying? Then I talked to my auntie, and she actually told me the name of the reservation they spent time on when they were very little. I was like, this is crazy, right? I go into that in another video. I don't want to get into it on this video. But so subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, like, subscribe, and hit all. And go back and watch all my videos. Then most of them ain't very long. There's bits and pieces in each one of them. My goal is for you to understand who you are. For you to understand that you are not an African American. Your lineage is not from Africa. The Africans are Aboriginal Africans. We are Aboriginal Americans. The black people from Europe are Aboriginal Europeans. On every landmass, since the beginning of time, there were black people on each landmass. That's why we all have different phenotypes, but we're all melanated. We have different phenotypes. Some of our hair is different, but we're all melanated people. You see what I'm saying? And because of the system of racism, white supremacy, they've taught us that, you know, all black people come out of Africa. White people came from a Neanderthal gene, which is a lie. White people came from black people. They are an albionized defect. They're a birth defect of us. And you people have, some of y'all have albionized people in your family. 2 blue-black people can give birth to an albino baby. And that's exactly what took place during the Ice Age. They said it lasted about 10,000 years. This is in certain parts of Europe and Asia. There was an overcast. The sun wasn't getting down to the ground, so it's cold. And that's why you have Japanese people, Chinese people, and white people. These people are genetic defects. Now, the people in Asia, you know, Japan, China, the original people over there look like you and I. We had the phenotype of Japanese people, Chinese people, you know, and then when the Ice Age happened, the albino babies came out looking like the Japanese, Chinese people, but they were white, just like the Caucasians came out looking like they look now. Things rarely change. The evidence has always been here in front of us. Albinos are being born every year because they are a genetic defect of mammals. We're mammals. You go into the wild right now and you'll see albino monkeys, cats, dogs, frogs, hogs. Albinism is just giving birth to a baby without melanin. That's all it is. And under normal circumstances, those babies don't survive long because the sun will give them cancer. They'll die off. But when you had that ice age that lasted 10,000 years, they were allowed to multiply and grow for 10,000 years. And that's exactly what happened. In the cold weather, instead of having kinky hair where the heat rise right up off your body, over thousands of years, the hair lay down to keep the heat onto your body. Instead of having broad, open nostrils like this, in cold weather, the nose becomes longer, skinnier, and the holes are smaller so that air isn't cold air isn't going up there like that. It gets narrow, and it gives that air time to heat up before it gets to your brain. It's amazing what you learn from biology and from just observing shit. People, what I'm telling you is 100% true. Don't take my word for it. Be suspect of everything. Do your own research. Okay, it's very important. But anyway, I wanted you all to be introduced to that because it's amazing. We are the Aboriginal Americans, aka Indians. The Indians in our history books was put there by Europeans to throw us off of track of who we really are. Those people, like I mentioned about Asia, the overcast, those people came from Asia. They're a Mongolian breed of Asian. They crossed the Bering Straits about 13,000 years ago. This is what leading paleontologists tell us. Those people migrated here. They're not from this soil. They are not aboriginal to America. We are the only true Aboriginal Americans, which makes us the only true Americans. We are the only true Americans. I'm going to say that again. We are the only true Americans. This land belongs to us. It don't belong to white people, although they consider themselves American. I promise you. What is it? Everybody has something before American here in America. Asian American, Japanese American, African American. But when you think of white people, we don't say German American. We don't say Italian American. No, it's just American. See how they trying to steal our shit? American. No, we're the only true Americans. So I want you to take this information and again, share, like, and subscribe to this channel so that you could share this out to your social media. And also do your own digging. Look into your own paper documents, birth certificates, marriage license, going back into your family, and ask these questions of all your relatives, because all of them may not know. There was a thing called the Racial Integrity Act in the 1940s, 1920s. Walter Pleckler, that's this fool, paper genocide. Anyway, it was against the law for black people to claim to be Indians. It was in most cases a death sentence, or you would go to jail for it. So our people were traumatized and terrorized for claiming our own identity. You see how it is? So our people have been traumatized. That's why it's so important that we, the new breed, who ain't afraid to bleed, that we don't back down and we don't balk down. We understand who we are and we stand on that shit. We stand on that shit. And if somebody's trying to tell us we somebody else, we say, no, you got me twisted, pimpin'. I've dug into my own history. I know who I am. And you will not mislabel me. You will not make me afraid. I will not bend. I will not balk. But I will destroy. Don't push me. Don't push me. I don't believe in violence, but I do believe in self-defense with lethal deadly force if need be. We forging straight forward with this. Now, our enemy is pure evil, and they have murdered people to keep this kind of information to themselves. But that time is over. Again, we are the new breed, and we're not afraid to bleed to protect ourselves, our family, and our property. Okay? And again, I thought that was cool. Now, also, too, you saw indigenous foods, cornbread, gumbo, barbecue. Like I'm saying, the proof has always been in our face, but we've been misdirected. They tell us, oh, that's slave food, Oh, no, that's soul food, which is cool. I like it. We can call it soul food because we're soul people. You know what I'm saying? So let's come together under our commonalities, because we're all mixed up. We all confused on who we are. We're Jews and what is it? Hebrews. It's a whole bunch of different labels out there. And it's true, we may be all of those things or none of those things. And it don't matter. We're in a war. And it's a war we're going to win. But we have to come together under the banner of black. A lot of Aboriginal people don't like to say that we're black, because we're not black. We're Aboriginal. And I get that. We're brown. We're not black. But what they don't understand is we're up against an enemy, and that enemy is the system of racism, white supremacy. In this fight, you have two teams. You have team white racist and team black. Our skin, our melanin is our uniform. You know what I'm saying? And it's true, black has no bearings in law, and it don't matter. These people ain't gonna honor it, none of that shit anyway. It's about numbers. It's a numbers game. If we all come together on our one commonality, our melanin, no matter where you're from, if you're African, if you are Jamaican, if you are Australian, you are black. See, because that's the way the system see you. The system don't see black men and women as separate entities. No, they just see a nigger. They just see a black person. You have to understand this. If you're gonna help win this war, this fight we're in. Again, the goal is to destroy the system of racism, white supremacy, and replace it with a system of freedom, justice, and equality. Dr. Francis Cress Welson's video will be in the description, by the way. Everybody needs to see that video. If you are black, you need to see that video. You feel me? Again, it is so important, this message that's going out. And of course, we need your help. You guys are the distribution arm for this information. You know, your goal is to spread it out, to put it out, to share. You know what I'm saying? Our enemy has billions upon millions of dollars to get their messages out. They're poison. They're poison messages in our brains. It's our job to know the bullshit by watching Dr. Francis Cress video. That one video, it's about 1 hour and 23 minutes long, it'll dissolve all the cobwebs in your mind. You're gonna have an aha moment like you ain't gonna believe if you watch that video. And then you'll know what the tricks are. You'll see how we've been played with. You see what I'm saying? So again, this is a fight that you've been inducted into. I don't know why you came to this video, but you're here now. And your job is to share this information out, to get yourself caught up on who you really are, and to understand that a lot of things have been told to you and forced into your understanding that keeps you trapped. DNA. I know that this young lady talks about Ancestry, and you know I don't subscribe to DNA because DNA is scientific racism. What do I mean? You cannot test DNA from dry bones to a live human. You just can't do it. Bones, for one, don't hold DNA that long. Two, if you did have dry bones in a human, a live human, and you try to get that in court, the court won't even recognize it because it won't line up. Now, DNA from live person to live person, because they're both live, it's fresh. That does line up. That's why you can have rape kits. You know what I'm saying? And paternity tests. Those are held up in court. But DNA from those Ancestry sites, y'all stop giving y'all blood to those people. Who knows what they doing with your information? I mean, you've all heard the story about Henrietta Lacks, right? You know what I'm saying? Plus, they probably putting together biological weapons against black people using your DNA. So y'all be careful. DNA is not the way to go. That's scientific racism. It's no different than the out of Africa theory. Okay? Anybody who wants to learn more, who wants to kind of streamline your education, if any of this if anything I'm saying makes a little bit of sense, sparking your genetic memory, I do teach. I have a $49 package and a $199 package. The $49 package is video only. The videos are in a certain, I forget what you call it, just a certain order to where it'll go. I mean, think about it. Before you learn, when you learn in math, you first have to learn addition, then you learn subtraction, multiplication, and division. It's steps. You know what I'm saying? The videos are in steps. So it'll take you from where you are right now, and it'll take you, it's got to be about 70, 80, maybe 100 hours of videos. And these are videos that I was turned on to, that I've watched and I've researched and made sure all the information is accurate. And of course, that's available to you for $49. $199 is the same videos, but I offer hand holding. I call it hand holding because this information is so different, and because we've been mentally programmed by the system of racism, white supremacy, and we have a sick love for our enemy, that when you hear this information, you instantly get mad. You know what I'm saying? And you may have got mad because I told you weren't African American, and I understand that. But the goal is to have an open mind, you know what I'm saying? And then do your own research. But because you're going to get angry and you're going to go through, I call it 5 stages of grief. Like when you lose somebody, if you got a loved one in your family that dies, and I know this personally because my mama passed and I went through the stages. First, what's happening is your old false identity of being African American is going to die. And what's being born is your new Aboriginal identity. So you're going to first be angry. First you're going to deny it, right? And then you're going to be angry. And then you're going to bargain, And I always forget what this one here is. But you will eventually move to acceptance, And if you're working with me and I'm like your coach, then I can cut that curve down quite a bit. You understand what I'm saying? You have somebody who can help you through that process. Everybody goes through it, but you can go through it fast or slow. It's your choice. Okay. I think I hit all my points. I wanted y'all to see that because it's so cool. You know what I'm saying? The foods we've all enjoyed all this time is Aboriginal. This is something our ancestors have been doing for millions of years, hundreds of thousands of years. But because of the system of racism, we have been told that these foods are wrong, is bad. Just like our hair. They tell us wearing our hair in our indigenous hairstyles is bad, it's ghetto, you look unprofessional. No, they told you that so that you would not fall in love with your own natural beauty. So that we would adapt the European standard of beauty, which is nothing beautiful about it. But they bombard us with these positive images of them, and they also bombard us with negative images of us, selling dope, talking about treating our women harshly and wrong and calling them bitches and hoes. You understand? Murdering each other. This is the poison they advertise to us through our music and television on a daily basis. You know what I'm saying? So it's real important that we start to control our own media, start making our own movies, you know what I'm saying, so that we can come out of their system and create our own systems. You are one of the powerfulest group of people on this planet. You are so special and wondrous. I ain't gonna get into this, but I'm gonna just mention it. The Black American is the group of people who brought the pyramid building technology to all the rest of the world. I kid you not. There are pyramids in South America right now that are bigger, older, and better built than any pyramid in Africa. People, they have kept so much from us. They don't allow digging and excavations here on this continent because they know what they're going to find. They'll find bones and stuff here older or as old as anything in Africa. You know what I'm saying? In your spirit, you know I'm not lying to you because it's connecting to you on some level. But you still don't take my word for that. You got to do your own research so that when you stand on your square, you holding that square because it's personal to you. You've done the research. You know who your people are. You understand what I'm saying? Real important. On that note, I'm going to end this video, but again, please share. Okay? Until another time, be one family. I'll see y'all in the next video.